On 95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
The Big Three. There's always something big happening in Nigeria. Something that gets people talking at home, in their offices, on the road, in the markets. On the Big Three, we don't just bring you the headlines, we go beyond them. Every weekday, Monday to join us as we critically review the three biggest stories driving conversations across Nigeria. From politics to policy, economy to everyday life. If Nigeria is talking about it, you'll find it on the Big Three. The Big Three, more than the headlines. It's where the conversation lives. Only on Nigeria Info 95.1 FM. The Big Three.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Well, good afternoon to you, Federal Capital City. How are you doing? Good afternoon to you, Federal Capital Territory. Apparently, there's the cities and then there are the territories. So greetings to you wherever you are listening in right now. Your number one talk station, 95.1 Nigeria Info. Whether you're in your car, whether you're at the office, whether at the shop, in the market, it's always good to have you join us and to have some of the more passionate, trustworthy conversations on daytime radio. And speaking of us, it's just me here, well, alongside Fortune, the quiet one. She doesn't talk whenever she's on Hard Facts, but it's okay. We'll dig that one out later. Or shall I engage you in conversation today, Fortune? Would you like to talk some Hard Facts?
Not today.
There we go. Yeah. So, yes, Fortune is here. I'm sure if you're on the live stream, you can see her already alongside myself. That's Somi, S-O-M-I, short for Apenosomi. Or in some quarters, the Anemuyo Ikombakara 1 of Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info FM Abuja is where you need to go on Facebook and also on YouTube. Nigeria Info Abuja. Excuse me. Nigeria Info FM Abuja is where we are at on Instagram. On X, we are Nigeria Info Abuja. So you can join on X. You can, follow us and like, comment, share on X and Instagram. But if you want to watch the live stream right now, it's Nigeria Info Abuja. You should be going to. All right, let's get into our conversations on Hard Fact today. We continue with the Big Three. Looking at some of the biggest stories in the news. We'll do that up until 4:30. I've got guests who will join me by 4:30, Nigerian Health Watch. So we're going to be talking health from about 4:30 all the way up until 5. But with Nigerian Health Watch, we're going to be discussing, what's it called, our health information that's available to women. While on the 5 o'clock hour, we are still in Autism Awareness Month. So we're going to be talking more about that from 5 to 6 p.m. Afterwards, we then have eyewitness reports and situation updates. So that's the lineup of programming for today. You are my guests, so do well to join in. Call me up, send me messages, send in comments, and we'll be glad to do this with you from now up until 7 p.m. Yes, let's kick in with the first story on Hard Facts this afternoon. It's been 12 years since the very unfortunate incident at Chibok, where about 276 girls were kidnapped. And 12 years on, where are we? What is the status? What are we doing in terms of ensuring that we don't have a repeat? Or at the very least, if there have been other incidents coming after Chibok, it is not on that same how do I put this now? It is not at that same magnitude. You're not having hundreds of children kidnapped and taken away. What is the status with the girls, especially those who are still unaccounted for, about 86 of them. Some reports have it at 91. So between 86 and 91, 12 years later, that we have that many girls unaccounted for. And then we're also going to be hearing from the survivors, the ones who either escaped or were rescued, made it back home. That's our first story this afternoon. So let's take a look at it. There is a foundation, Murtala Mohammed Foundation, that has raised fresh concerns over what it describes as waning accountability and global attention to the tragedy. In a statement marking the anniversary of the abduction of Chibok girls on April 14, 2014 by Boko Haram, the foundation disclosed that 89 of the girls remain unaccounted for more than a decade after the incident that sparked worldwide outrage. MMF, that is the Murtala Mohammed Foundation, noted that while 187 of the abducted girls have either escaped or been rescued over the years, progress in recent times has stalled, with no confirmed recovery recorded in the last year. And the chief executive officer of the foundation, Aisha Mohammed Oyebode, came out to warn that the Chibok tragedy has evolved into what she called a symbol of systemic failure. She said, and I quote, "Chibok has become more than a place or a moment in time. It is now a metaphor for neglect of responsibility, of accountability, and of our collective empathy for those who continue to live with the consequences of this tragedy." The foundation further revealed that more than 40 children were born in captivity and have since returned with their mothers, underscoring the long-term human toll of the abduction. According to MMF, the Chibok incident, once a rallying point for global advocacy through campaigns such as Bring Back Our Girls, now reflects a broader inability to sustain attention and follow through on commitments. She has termed the incident as something that exposed not just the failure of security architecture, but also the failure of sustained attention and the inability to begin and to finish, to respond and to follow through. And of course, as we've known, ever since Chibok, there have been continued abductions of children, which the organization also expressed concerns over, noting that such incidents have deepened fears among families and weakened confidence in the safety of education, particularly for girls. And they were calling on federal government to intensify efforts to locate the remaining girls and ensure transparency in its operations, while urging the UN and the international community to re-engage and support coordinated strategies to protect children in conflict-affected areas. Now, speaking of federal government's, efforts to intensify and locate the remaining girls, just as the report stated, there hasn't been any known effort or recovery. Perhaps they may have been effort, but in terms of actual recovery, none of that in the past year, which is why they're raising attention on raising caution to the fact that it's becoming a thing that we are forgetting. It's becoming a thing that we are saying, we're done with this and we've moved on. Like, what is the next thing, right? So, yes, it is a very, very somber milestone, 12 years on, and not only do we not have all the girls back, but we are having more abductions happen over time. From 2014 till now, there have been quite a number of them. So, to bring this conversation into discussion is to go back to something that was born out of the Chibok girls kidnapping in 2014, and that is the Safe Schools Initiative. And we're asking, in 2026, 12 years on, what are the lessons that we have learned? Now, we're having as many as scores of girls unaccounted for from 12 years ago. There's still a number of them we're still yet to account for even now. Leah Sharibu is, of course, very worthy of mention. And then some of the children who may not have made it back. That is outside of the psychological impact or consequences or trauma that they're having to deal with, right? So what have we learned as a country 12 years on? What is the Safe Schools Initiative doing if we are still seeing abductions in Niger and Zamfara, right? This Safe Schools Initiative was supposed to be the blueprint for school safety after Chibok, but we are still having schools in the north, in a way, serving as low-hanging fruit for bandits and insurgents over a decade later. The question is it a lack of funding or is it a lack of political will that has made something that would, at the time, seem like a very fantastic idea? We're back here 12 years on, no improvements from 2014, and in fact, nothing else we're seeing, especially as it has to do with the Safe Schools Initiative. What is going on there? One thing that we know, or we can say to an extent, is that money's reporting to that one, but why are we not seeing the resultant effects? Now, the UN and MMF, that is the Murtala Muhammad Foundation, have highlighted that some survivors who returned were forced to marry their former captors in government-run rehabilitation centers. How did we get there? These are some of the claims coming out from that unfortunate incident 12 years ago, to say that, okay, apart from those who are still unaccounted for, some of them that came back, this is what they were forced to do. What does this really say about the government's definition of reintegration and justice for these women? And of course, to the issue of lack of accountability for the billions spent, the Northeast development, billions of naira has been allocated to the Northeast development and the fight against insurgency since 2014. Where is the audit of the funds specifically meant for the rescue and rehabilitation of the Chibok girls? If 89 of them are still missing 12 years on, how do we justify the success of the counter-insurgency operations to their mothers? Because as much as these things over the years may become just numbers to us, there is still that effect of mothers, fathers who have not seen their children for 12 years and have been left with lots of questions, more questions than answers, if you will. These are the conversations that we're having the 12-year remembrance of the Chibok girls' abduction on the show today. So we've looked at the Safe Schools Initiative. There are questions around that to say, why has it not entirely stopped, if not drastically reduced the number of abductions? We're still looking at the government to say, what is happening with the 89 girls? Have they become just statistics? Or are there actual recovery efforts being put in place? Because there's not a lot of information around that. And then also, what is the value of the average Nigerian life? Today it's Chibok. We've had other instances over the years, but how much longer and when do we stop coming back to 14th of April every year to talk about girls that are still missing? Phone lines are open. Let's get your thoughts on them. 0809 597 4869. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 993 0137. You can send a voice note. Please keep it short, and we will take them all. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I speaking about, the Northeast Development Commission. Those are one of those things we're talking about. Setting up this Northeast Development Commission, North-West, North-South, is just to money for the boys. Northeast Development Commission was set aside for a particular form to habilitate building of school, building of, at least make it that particular region to be viable. For the past how many years now that commission was set up, we have not seen any development, any impact. I don't know if they are doing it, but it's just been so silent. Because if you don't build up human capital development in that part of the world, at least you talk about Chibok CDZ, almost 12 years now, these guys are still in camp. We still have some camp here in FCT, where those guys who were from Chibok, all those areas, how do you, thousands of one of them, and you have a budget of close to over hundreds of billions of naira, not just 100% being given to that region. These are one of those we are talking about. We are one major data development commission. This money are just meant for empowering the political, power. There is no significant impact that you have chosen money in that part of the countryside. You don't talk about human, what you don't call capital projects. You have to foster, take care of human capital development. Habilitate those guys. We need to remove them from point A to point B. Make sure that these children are going to school. Give them the ministry training, equipment you need to. If you want to involve in agriculture, you have to involve in agricultural policy and whereby a lot of security. Empower these guys to be relevant and be self-sufficient in that part kidnapping every day and night. We see you having all those. I mean, I don't know what to explain. And by the end of the day, they are still creating more. Northwest, north south, south southeast. Maybe they created another state again. They will now another development commission, which they are using that to empower their political followers. This is not how government institution of government is running. It's
all right.
Sad. Honestly, it's sad that even though you travel for most of the roads, some roads from those are axis, and you have over 200 and something billion. There is nothing done in that part of the region.
Okay.
I don't know what to do. But the most important thing is human capital development.
All right.
Upgrade those children, make them to be relevant. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay. That's it from Mr. Williams. Let's see who else do we have here. It's a voice note. I hope it's for this show.
Good afternoon. This is Liti from Midu saying good afternoon to you in the studio, listeners and contributors. It is a very pathetic situation we have found ourselves in this country where things just happen without anybody asking questions. And if you try to ask questions, you will be tagged a bigot, a religious bigot, or willing sentiment. It's terrible. Evil is happening and nobody wants to talk about it. You talk about it, you are singled out as, somebody saying something odd. Now look at girls that are abducted, forced to marry their abductors. That tells much about the sincerity of all this rehabilitation and what have you that Nigeria is involved in. Rehabilitating people by the same people that got them radicalized in the first place. You know that there is no sincerity in these things. Somebody that needs to be arrested and jailed, if not killed. You say the girl that was abducted by that same person should marry him. Is it because of the child that they are now having? If it's because of the child, let that abductor be in the prison and the child will be visiting him in the prison. For God's sake. What sort of injustice is this? The same thing, but Jesus said, do unto others what you will want them to do unto you. Any other thing from this is from the devil. It's from the devil. What nobody can do to you, don't do to others. It's terrible.
All right, let's take some more calls. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is David.
All right, so go ahead.
Well, it's a nice topic, but it's on here. It's on here. But we know, and it has been said that any of these things that never don't take place in any part of the world. Not only it doesn't take place, not only that it takes place in Nigeria, but in Nigeria. That is the defense. The worst defense part of the world are called Nigeria. You see, this is brought up. I'm one of the persons that have talked about it, and I dreamt of it. I don't not dreamt. God woke me up and tell me something about this very topic. I'm talking about 6 years ago, and I gave the message that Nigeria with this we cannot. Nigeria will suffer. They have part of the faith of Almighty God, and Nigeria will suffer. It is said that this country will not survive it. And what are we seeing now? Is it not happening? And
what exactly are you referring to, please? What exactly are you referring to? Are you referring to the Chibok girls? Can you hear me?
Specifically on the actually the that Almighty told you. Because some of us know the scenario of her abduction. Her abduction, sorry. Today, my sister, there was a governor on seat that time, who is the vice president today. And what he did, it's only God that can tell. Because not only God can tell, we need to struggle with it. The principal of that school was rewarded with a commissioner 2 tenors. For what? Nobody can tell. He's the one that can tell. And I tell you, the so-called security we are having in this country is nothing to write about.
Okay.
Yeah, security allowing bloody civilians to make use of them.
All right. I needed to cut you off there because of your use of language. Please, it's always very important to be mindful of your words as you speak. It's okay to express yourself, but please do so responsibly. That term does not apply to any civilian in this country. All right. But your point, I think, I couldn't hear you very clearly, but to the points that you made on, the abduction of children and the response by the government, all well noted indeed. All right, let's see here. Okay, it's just a call that I have coming in, and it's disconnected. All right, well, it's not all doom and gloom. As much as there are 86 thereabouts girls unaccounted for, and some of the survivors who came back were made to go through some rather unsavory experiences. There's some other survivors who were able to get into the American University of Nigeria in Yola in Adamawa State. They also, put out a statement commemorating the 12th anniversary of the tragic incident that occurred to them and some of their fellow students. In a statement released to the media, the survivors issued a strong call to global stakeholders to prioritize the education of young girls, stressing that capacity building equips them to confront life's challenges and overcome adversity. And they were, of course, at this time, are reflecting on their ordeal, but at the end of the day declared that they are more than their fears. This is a message symbolizing their journey from trauma to resilience. As a matter of fact, I believe today is also the day when some of them were graduating from the university. So at least the ones who were able to, get help, get rehabilitated, go back into school, today emphasizing the transformative power of education and urging governments and stakeholders to invest more in the development and empowerment of women and girls as a pathway to building confidence and resisting oppression. They say in their words that they represent hope and resilience for women and girls who have faced similar experiences, as education has helped them in many, many positive ways since then. Okay, so yes, 12 of their colleagues or fellow students are graduating this month from American University of Nigeria, and they also said that they appreciate the federal government, the university, and all individuals who had supported and encouraged them over the years, stating that they did not take it for granted, while also remembering the other girls who remain in captivity and making a passionate appeal for renewed efforts towards their rescue. So that will form the rest of our conversation on this topic. What is the federal government doing to get those 89 girls back? That is the question, and that will remain the question. And perhaps we will also be looking over time to discuss with some of the people who have played a key role in ensuring that these girls' conversation remain front and center. Likes of the MMF, that's the Murtala Muhammad Foundation, and any other bodies who have said, look, we're not going to forget these girls. That is the core of this. Why does it seem like there's no other rescue effort to bring them back? It's been 12 years. Can't imagine the damage. You can't imagine the trauma. You can't imagine the radicalization, because that has been known to happen for some of the students who stay so long, in the den of their captors. So all of these are the concerns, and I can't imagine being a mother at this time thinking about this. So let's take a few more calls and then we'll move on to the next story. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome.
My name is Emeka. I'm in Guarimpa.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
In fact, there's nothing to compensate whatever those ladies have gone through. Even if it's just a day, the kidnap, the experience, the fear. And most of those girls, some of them have been married off, probably left shores of Nigeria to Nigeria. I'm just hallucinating, let me put it that way. And that some of their parents have died out of heartache. What do you want them to do? Even if they come back, their life will never remain the same. I thank God for those that have graduated, and even those that are still in school, that later found purpose in life. This name we need to do more. We need to do more. The only time that this government, not even this government, even the previous government, but it's much on this government. It's just during the election time. That is when you know that you have a spokesperson that will be every day. That media they use it, and that is when you know that they are talking. What about the Sharibu? Are we even talking about her? They don't even talk about those. They are just concerned about the 2023 election, and that's why someone said that the good leaders, they think about the next generation, while those greedy ones, they think about the next election. I think Nigeria, we should do more. Just a lady, a woman you train a nation. Now, when there are up to 80 of them, that's one we know. What about those ones that we don't know? We don't know whether some of them are still alive. Honestly, this is pathetic. Thank you.
All right. We need to do more. That's the message there. Hello?
Somi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my sister. This is Engineer Ola.
All right.
Thank you for picking my call. Yeah, Somi, when you are talking about the insecurity and then the girls being kidnapped and then the ones who are still in captive, the thing that comes to my mind is just one of your colleagues. When all these things happen, they said, before you know it, we move on. We are waiting for the next one to happen. If the next one happens again, well, we will talk. We are waiting for the next one to happen. And then we have a government, Somi. We claim that we have a government. That the only thing that comes in the mind of that government is the next election, just like what the last caller was talking about. So, that is the reason why when I now come to this thing, I normally talk about this in my sister Somi, is that how can you tell me how will somebody like me support the government in power? Somi, you are talking about our girls being kidnapped. If before, our recruits are the ones signed when it comes this issue of insecurity and fighting Boko Haram and terrorists. But these days now, our generals are now falling into it. So when we are crying, we are not crying, we are not shouting or complaining because we don't like Bola Ahmed Tinubu or we don't like Muhammadu Buhari. We are crying but because human being is dying. For me, human being is dying. It's not animal, it's not chicken that they are killing. It is human being. Even if you want to kill some chicken, some people that have coin, they want to kill some chicken, you will see the remorse in killing that chicken. But human beings are dying on a daily basis, and then we have the leaders that the only thing that they know how to do is to go commission, and then to tell us, no, don't worry, we should go and calm down. And then people keep dying. And then you tell us to just sit down and keep quiet and tell us that, that person is the best thing that happened to Nigeria is what do you want to call it?
All right.
So for me, it's not normal. It is not normal. Anyone that thinks that this is normal, it's not normal. And it can never be normal. If normal is supposed to some people's time, it can never be. It's not normal on my own head. In my own head, it's not normal.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Ola. Okay. We need to move on to the second story, but just to say a quick word here. At the very least, yes, some people will say, it wasn't during this administration's time that this happened. They're fighting their own battles and all of that. But what I think would be ideal in a situation such as this is that this administration has, first-hand information concerning everything that has to do with insecurity before it came into office, and also has a handle on the situation. So we look at between 2023 and today, it's been, 3 Aprils? Yes, 3 April 14th. Have we had a briefing by the federal government, or has the federal government been able to brief the parents of these missing children, for example, to say, okay, this is the status, this is what we're doing and all of that? Maybe it might not make it to general media in terms of, every other news outlet, but are these parents, the ones that are around, are they hearing about the status of recovery efforts, for their girls? These are some of the questions that we would ask, and perhaps we may not get the answers right now, but they're very pertinent questions indeed. I think that would be a situation. I'm thinking as a parent now to say, okay, At the very least, we've been on this for 11 years since your administration came in, but now your administration is here. It's been 3 years. Perhaps some word of hope, some word of, I don't know what else to call it, but just something to show that they have not actually been forgotten. Does this administration have intelligence on the girls? Do they have that information at all? We're hoping that the other end of the extreme is not the case, where they probably have been deemed collateral damage in the long-running war with Boko Haram and all other elements of terrorism and insecurity in the country. So we use this day to remember the girls. We use this day to say they're not forgotten, while at the same time asking the government to please ensure that there's, at the very least, some effort of recovery underway to bring these girls home. 89 is not a joke. And kudos to the ones, there's no specific number. I don't have the exact number of the ones who, I was speaking about earlier on, who are commemorating today and talking about how education has helped them deal with this, and those, that they're also remembering their other friends and all of that who were caught up in that attack. I mean, so we can see that there was something done there, and, the ones who were able to benefit from that are grateful, and they're happy, and they're serving as some sort of a symbol or a testament. But on the other side, the ones who are not able to make it back home, there must be something that is being done for them as well. So that is the call for today. Because really and truly, this, if I'm not mistaken, this would be the first time that I'm addressing this on the show, on Hard Facts. I'm sure I spoke about it sometime last year. I really don't want to come back 2014, 2027, and we're still in the same place. Please, federal government, the call is, do not forget these girls. Let's not forget these girls. All right. So let's move on to the second story. This time around, we are in Cross River State, where some report has come out that, if nothing bars it, might serve as a source of hope for Cross Riverians, as Cross River State lost trillions of naira and its economy was heavily negatively impacted from a ruling, I think 12 years ago, in 2012, forgive me, that saw them cede over about 76 of their oil wells to Akwa Ibom State following the Bakassi incident. And since then, they have been considered a non-littoral state, which basically means a state that, how do I put this now in simpler terms? A state that cannot benefit from 13% derivatives as an oil producer. So they are a non-oil producing state. If you go by that judgment, that is what non-littoral means. And so Cross River over the years has had to some extent, suffer some sort of declassification by virtue of this. But a report came out in February, and the results of that report are hitting the headlines as of today after a long investigation. Of course, Premium Times has more information on this, but the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission set up the Interagency Technical Committee, IATC, and, who were to do the investigation around Cross River State and revenue and oil wells and all of that. Now, based on the report that they have put out, they have verified that Cross River State has 119 crude oil and gas wells, and that the state therefore deserves a 13% derivation revenue from those wells. The committee recommends also a refund from Akwa Ibom State to Cross River for the revenue that Akwa Ibom has been receiving. These 119 oil wells. According to the committee, the oil and gas wells attributed to Cross River State prior to the exercise were benefited by Akwa Ibom State. As such, Akwa Ibom State should refund to Cross River State the 13% enjoyed on the 119 oil and gas wells in form of arrears. This is the recommendation from the committee. These and other related findings are detailed in the IATC report that was submitted to the Revenue Mobilization Committee in February for review and subsequent transmission to the President for consideration. Apparently strengthened by the IATC report, which has refuted the long-held belief that Cross River lost its littoral status after Nigeria ceded Bakassi Peninsula to Cameroon on 14 August 2008. Governor Bassi Otu of Cross River State has been calling for a restoration of Cross River's economic rights. He told a group of journalists earlier on this year that Cross River accepted to sacrifice Bakassi and its oil and gas assets for Nigeria to receive peace, but that his state and the people have continued to suffer immensely for it. And so by virtue of this report, it looks like hope might be restored to them. But there's some interesting questions that, may have to be answered before it can be determined that, first of all, they will get their literal status back, and also if they're going to get any hope of a refund from Akwa Ibom State. Right, so the 2012 Supreme Court ruling pretty much is the one that declared Cross River State as a non-literal state and asked it to cede its oil wells to Akwa Ibom State. So the question now is, can this report by this interagency technical committee legally supersede a Supreme Court judgment, or is it merely a recommendation that requires a new judicial review to be enforceable? How practical is that going to be, that we will get a judicial review that will now grant it back its status, let me use the very popular term, status quo antebellum, right? Not exactly, appropriate in this term, but just so that we understand what I mean when it comes to restoration of their status. Now, if the report uses new hydrographic data to prove Cross River is a literal state, because that is what they said they did, they carried out these investigations and deemed that it was indeed a literal state. Does this mean then that the 2012 judgment was based on bad science? Who will be held responsible? What data did the court have in 2012 for it to determine that Cross River State is a non-literal state? So whose report do we believe here? So another one of the questions that is coming in. And that perhaps might lead to whether Cross River is going to be able to get this lost revenue back from Akwa Ibom State. The court acted on certain data, it acted on certain information for it to determine Cross River as non-literal. Now, how many years later, this is 14 years later, we are hearing that, it has, geographical waterways that allow it to indeed be a literal state. So this is where we are as of today. I'm trying to see if I can remember which one was. Oh yes, there we go. So yes, the IATC committee went to verify the coordinates of the disputed oil and gas fields and wells, and also of the newly drilled oil and gas wells in the Niger Delta region from 2017 to 2025. And according to them, this is part of the reason why they came up with this report. There was a particular waterway that was mentioned that helped them say categorically that this is why they're saying it is a littoral state. Anyway, we'll find the name of that and get it to you. But again, this report suggesting that Akwa Ibom should refund 14 years of 13% derivation earned from these wells since 2012. How realistic is that? We're in a period where there's fiscal tightening. Some would say, okay, it's geared towards the elections, but some would say at the end of the day, states are just, trying to make sure that they make the most of every naira. So in this period that we are in right now, how logical is it? How practical will it be, assuming that this report will stand against the 2012 judgment? How practical will it be for Akwa Ibom State to refund all of these revenue back to Cross River State? There's a few more questions that perhaps we might try answering, but let's go to the phone lines for now and hear what you have to say. Welcome. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. I get confused. Even me, I'm from Akwa Ibom, but I get confused. You know why I get confused?
Do tell.
Yeah. I will tell you why I get confused. That same part that was ceded to Akwa Ibom was initially ceded to Cross River by Obasanjo. Do you understand?
Yes.
and that area belongs to Akwa Ibom. There are Ibibio people there, not Cross River area. Do you understand? There are Ibibio people there. We had a little boundary between Akwa Ibom and Cross River with Bakassi. Some part of Bakassi, though it's not called Bakassi, but some part were in Akwa Ibom. Do you understand me? So when Obasanjo and Itakewa decide to give Bakassi back to Cameroon, because that was their decision. So when they decide to give Bakassi back to Cameroon, Akwa Ibom stood up and said, okay, since you have given what you own, and Itakewa signed up that Bakassi to Cameroon, okay, we have to take our land that belongs to Akwa Ibom. They are Akwa Ibomites, except maybe the boundary adjustment commission.
Hello? Hello, sir.
Boundary.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Okay. Something happened with the network. I'm not sure what it was, but please do call back and finish your thoughts, as we lost your audio there for a little bit. Okay, let's see if we have any messages. None at the moment. Okay, so we'll go back to the calls. But yes, first of all, just to also establish that this particular report has come under serious pressure. According to Premium Times, some powerful figures within the Nigerian government have been fighting hard to suppress the report to prevent Cross River from regaining the oil and gas well. So there are, if this report is anything to go by, some interest around there. Also in February, the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization Committee stated that what they received from this IATC body was a draft copy, and that media reports suggesting a proposal to transfer oil wells to Cross River were misleading and premature. This came out from the chairman of the committee, the Revenue Mobilization Committee himself, who set up the IATF. And so it's been back and forth, but investigation further done is what has led us to discussing this today. Right, so the chairman, when he was speaking, talked about how a draft document has been transmitted to relevant technical and statutory stakeholders, and then they would also do their report. They would do their investigations, but a final report will be sent to the president after the revenue mobilization's tripartite committees comprising crude oil, gas, investment, and legal matters had scrutinized the observations and recommendations from NUPRC, NBC, and the Office of the Secretary General to the Federation. So while all of this is going on and there are denials here and there, some sources say that indeed the governors of the two states, Akwa Ibom State and Cross River, have held at least 2 meetings on resolving the oil well dispute on the president's directive. Okay, and Senate President Godswill Akpabio reportedly mediated in one of those meetings. So one thing is for sure is that there is a report in place. However, the final recommendations may not have been sent to the president yet, but these are some of the things that are being said in the report, and there is ongoing conversation between the two governors to resolve it. But the question of concern again here is, on what basis did this agreement come about in the first place? Or are they going to throw away the recommendations based on the report done by the IATF, or is this something they're just trying to settle metaphorically out of court? Yes. So let's get your concluding thoughts on this. I see you calling back. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I have to call back.
Your network, please. I hope it's better now.
Remember. Yeah, it's better.
Okay,
now.
Go ahead.
If you remember, in 2000 when we I was Governor Atta that took.
All right, your network is certainly not better. Perhaps send a voice note to give us your concluding thoughts. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Welcome.
for the same
Okay,
thing.
sorry for that small bit.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Peter. I'm calling from Kubwa.
Please go ahead.
Okay, to me, what will make sense to me in this? I want to comment about this affair of cross saga.
Okay.
What will make sense? What will make sense to me is this: there is a boundary commission in this country. So when the affair was created out of Cross River State, common sense suggests that there was a demarcation of land and sea, because even in the international waters there are boundaries. So the both parties should go back to the same Supreme Court to order that they should go and trace and retrace those boundaries. So that it's a place that is Cross River State, it should be the place that Akwa State, it should be. All these dilly-dallying things, supposing they are part of the country that carries guns, wouldn't have been here discussing it this way, you know that? So please, that is my only two suggestions here.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. I've got a few more minutes before we have to take the news at the top of the hour. So feel free to send in your thoughts or call in still. Let's hear from you. I've got good afternoon, Queen Somi. How's work? My regards to all of you in the studio. Insecurity in Nigeria today is I don't know if you mean it's the fault of our leaders. I'm seeing fourth here, because what is happening is as a result of political thugs employed by politicians after elections is over, they become a threat to people. Okay. All right. God will continue to guide us, is what I can make sense of at this point. And it says, by God's grace, Nigeria will... Okay. Comrade Abubakar, the message is not very clear, but I've read out what I can make out of it. Thank you. Tabuko Kennedy from Kubwa is saying, let's not misinform people. Obasanjo and Ital Giwa did not give Bakassi to Cameroon. It was a world court judgment that seized Bakassi to Cameroon. Okay, I see you. I've got a voice note here, but sir, it is almost 4 minutes long. What am I to do with it? Hello?
Hello to me.
Yes, please.
That judgment is so technical and is not practicable along some concern, because if the boundary of judgment out to local case, to me it's not practicable, because we have to go back to Supreme Court. Because if you look at, if I could mention, Omele 111, and you're going through Ibaka, from Ibaka down to Igno, and you proceed to the Atlantic, that is sharing boundary between Cross River and Akwa Ibom. And I strongly believe that, I don't know how they will look up, the boundary of judgment will just look up from today and try to tell us that is practicable. Honestly speaking, girlfriend, I don't believe that is practicable. But I just like what the federal government is doing, calling the two governors to sit down together, pilot with the Senate president, which is, at least both of them are from there. These are sister states. You understand? We know ourselves. We that are from Akwa Ibom and Cross River House, we are one. So I think they can settle this to 1 in 1. But they need to say the 13% from how many years now to form back to the ground?
14.
You're sleeping and waking up from the wrong side of the bed, which is not possible. It's not possible. If you want to say that we have to look at, they have to go back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, because automatically that boundary judgment cannot tell, and substitute, the Supreme Court judgment and say that no, it's not possible. It's not practicable.
Okay.
So the truth is, what they're doing now, I think it's more better for the two governors to sit down and see what they can be able to settle brothers to brothers, because we are not different. We speak the same language.
Okay.
We are not different. There's no need of carrying arms against ourselves. We are brothers. We know ourselves.
Okay.
We know ourselves. So this will be settled amicably. But so that's where the practical aspect of the whole 13% is papa.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Have a nice day.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Okay, it's quite the committee that has been set up to look into this matter. You have the Surveyor General of Akwa Ibom, Isang, and her counterpart in Cross River, Patrick Bassi, make presentations to a committee who also looked at the Supreme Court judgment on the oil well dispute between Cross River and Akwa Ibom State. Now, if you're not familiar with what that judgment says, in 2012, the Supreme Court ruled that a 13% derivation revenue on the 76 oil wells offshore between Akwa Ibom State and Cross River State must continue to be attributed to the state on whose maritime territory they were found to be located by the relevant government agencies, that is the National Boundary Commission, which has been mentioned by one of the listeners, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Committee, relating with the Office of the Surveyor General. I think, did I say that earlier? Okay. Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation and the Accountant General of the Federation. That is the Supreme Court judgment of 2012. The committee that has sat on this has looked at it as well. And the report by the IATC, who, according to them, undertook a field-based assessment in a disputed area. This was actually the first time they were undertaking such an assessment. But they also stated that the coordinates verification exercise was in compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment in suit number SC 250/2009. All right, I said on the two topics that we have so far. After the news at the top of the hour, we'll come back and look at the final topic on the Big Three today, and then we'll take more of your calls. Stay with us.
Stay on track with Nigeria Info.
And PFN, the Stone Bishops.
Talking about Mourinho and AS Roma.
Hi everyone, my name is Swat.
one station for talk.
We are in a time where people yearn for information.
Information is quick. The larger the reach, the better.
Bits,
pieces,
and the whole. All the details right here on Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Here on Info, we give you a great blend of all. Local or foreign, we've got you covered.
Blackouts across Nigeria as national grid collapses.
The UN is warning of the consequences of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
We are right on
95.1 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk.
Trending. Who are dropping on their vehicle are running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you can air your views.
I want to report the situation.
Only on your number one station for talk.
This is not the way. We cannot continue like this.
95.1 Nigeria Info. Abuja. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Hard Facts.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Let's get back to it. One final story, and then we go back to you and your thoughts. Word coming from the Senate President Godswill Akpabio is that the rising insecurity in the country is as a result of the forthcoming elections. And according to him, once the elections are done, insecurity will stop. Speaking at the official launch of the Nigerian Revenue Service corporate headquarters in Abuja today, Akpabio said that President Bola Tinubu is performing so well and those opposed to him do not know what to do than to sponsor insecurity. He immediately said after the election, insecurity will be a thing of the past. He said, and I quote, "Insecurity is increasing because election is coming, because people don't know what to do again. Immediately after election, 2 weeks after election, the insecurity will stop. The insecurity is being sponsored by people." He said this while also mocking the opposition for being in disarray. Akpabio aimed a dig at Peter Obi, candidate of Labour Party in 2023 presidential election, saying opposition is in disarray. Someone got 6 million votes and abandoned the party, abandoned the 6 million votes and went shopping for another platform, and they are blaming the ruling party. He appealed to Nigerians to be patient with the present administration, saying, "Let Nigerians be patient with you. You are doing the right thing." It's coming from the Senate President of the of Nigeria. All right. Insecurity is on the rise because of the forthcoming elections. What do you make of this? And speaking of the opposition who he was mocking, news reports have it, I'm sure you've heard already, that they're going ahead with the planned convention today. But while that is happening, you have the faction in Adamawa State suspending the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, citing alleged anti-party activities. Is the ADC in disarray at the moment? Some of the supporters of the ADC would disagree. Of course, just like we had yesterday, someone saying that there are no factions. But whatever it is you want to call them, there are bodies at work. And this particular move now, especially concerning the suspension of Atiku and Babachir, is also cause for conversation as people are asking, can this happen? Do they have the authority to do this? They've cited disunity and parallel structures as their reason. And when I say the authority in question, I'm speaking about Alhaji Raji Zumo, who claimed that the leadership of one of the factions in Adamawa State. So that is happening in Adamawa State. You have the Senate President mocking the disarray in the ADC, while also stating, quite categorically I might add, that what is happening in terms of insecurity is being sponsored by people who are not in support of this administration. I'll go back to the phone lines. Let's hear from you. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Yes, please. Hello, I can hear you.
Hello, Lady Somi.
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Habakar calling from government.
Yes, please.
With due respect to the Senate President, please, is to show respect when making public speech. He always commit blunders, a lot of blunders in making public concerning sensitive national issues. Maybe you should commission somebody who help him develop this public speeches that will in tandem with reality, that will not hurt public sensibility. That is on that. And they should continue to cause factionalism in opposition party. You can't so win the will and reach tranquility. It's never happened. The law of karma will take place. There's no way President Tinubu will go to the general election as the sole candidate in a debate, much debate by a country with a lot of diversity as Nigeria. It may happen in Benin Republic, they may even sponsor it, but it will never happen in Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, sir.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's William calling back.
So, Mr. Williams, this is your third time today. Do you mind if I take a few other calls? I'll come back to you, I promise. But we need to take other calls. We do have a rule. I'm not very particular about it, but where you've spoken once, twice, please let's give room for a few other people to call, and then we can take yours again. Hello? Okay, this is a voice.
Listeners and contributors.
Okay.
If insecurity is on the rise due to forthcoming election, so we should just take it like that, go to sleep, and allow ourselves to be slaughtered and killed. That means you know that there will be insecurity, and you know that there is a reason for insecurity. Then you do the needful. What are you supposed to do? Since you know that due to election, insecurity will escalate, then you put things in place that will deter the terrorists. You don't go to sleep. Say, okay, you just allow it to continue till after election, it will naturally douse. I don't think that is it really making sense? I don't really understand. So if because of the election that is forthcoming, this insecurity is going to heighten, then we should just lie low and allow it to happen, so that after election, then everything will douse down. Oh God, what sort of analysis is this? Since you know it's going to happen, that calls for more action, for more proactive measures on ground to tackle any situation that may come up. Instead of all these shenanigans, look at everything will be politicized. It's terrible in this country. The Lord will help us.
All right. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello,
Good afternoon. This is Somi. Go ahead, please.
My name is Clemi Mode. I'm calling from Lifecam.
Okay.
Yeah. On the issue of the current findings of the report of the 13% derivation between Akwa Ibom and Cross River.
Yes.
You have rightly stated there. Part of the Supreme Court judgment says that the 13% should continue to the states where it is found to be, and that the responsibility of determining where it should really be rests on the agencies that you have listed. And since then, a report was never made. Yes, a report was never made. So this is the current authentic report now that is now presented. So to me, I would say that the funds just went to Akwa Ibom as a result of fast finger. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Fastest fingers. That's the funny one. Okay, all right. Let's take some more calls. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome, sir.
My name is Salasi. I greet my elder brother Abubakar and the callers of this radio station.
Welcome, Salasi.
I want to talk about for the issue of insecurity. I think this government shouldn't be blaming others. I remember how they were criticizing Jonathan when Jonathan was in power. Any little thing you will see them coming out. I remember Lai Mohammed of then. He couldn't allow Jonathan to drink water, keep cup. What any slightest thing you will see him coming out. They politicize the kidnap of Chibok girls. But at that time we were battling with only Boko Haram. But the coming of this APC government, we have been battling with kidnappers. That young man, that John, that was kidnapped, that on his way to Zaria and was kidnapped by bandits. And you remember the other guy in Sokoto, the youth copper that was kidnapped by bandits. And these people doesn't cover their face. Most especially the recent one now, the way they are torturing this boy as if he's a criminal by bandits in this country. It's not that they take this guy out of Nigeria. They are within Kaduna and Plateau, either between Sokoto and Zamfara, either between Niger and Abuja. And the government can use their intelligence to get this criminal. In fact, I just heard the good news about the head boy. He said his nephew that was kidnapped, they just paid ransom and paid money for bike because he was released. If you ask any 10 Nigerians whether they have kidnapped their loved one or their friends, you will hear from them. Either 2 or 3 people will tell you that, yes, they have kidnapped someone that I know, or my uncle, or my brother. I that am speaking to you, they have kidnapped my family member and their family friends. Not once, not twice, almost more than that. And this government, if I say anything against them, they can easily trust me and get me arrested. You remember the university student that talk about the former president wife, Aisha Buhari? They track him and get him arrested. Why can't they do the same? We want to see them taking action, and these people being kidnapped. Government will take proactive action to see that they release. And me, I'm not happy with the sentences of bandits. You give them 10 years, 5 years. And so people that have been killing people and mending people, I don't see that. I don't get that. I'm not in support of that.
Okay.
They should go and repent to God up there. Thank you so much, Somi, for giving me the privilege. Now go there.
Thank you, Salasi. I think even more troubling about this statement accredited to the Senate President, and you can find that on Daily Trust, is the fact that he said that insecurity is being sponsored by people. Honestly, again, if this information is available to you, let us assume that we're going to just put everything around insecurity into one pot of, okay, Nigeria is always peaceful, post-elections. You can judge from 2023 up until now. Let's say that 2026 is the year that people really started gearing up towards 2027. But even with this administration, in some quarters, it's been known that the gearing up to elections started from day one. Or if we're going to be generous to some extent, we'll say from last year, right? So if what the Senate President said is anything to go by, then we should have been experiencing little to no insecurity between 2023 till now. But let us even say, okay, we're towing this path of people are sponsoring insecurity. If that information is readily available to you, that is why we see insecurity on the rise, then why not go after the sponsors? We've had conversations time and time again about, the government taking a firm stance and prosecuting people who have been listed as sponsors of terrorism in the country. Yesterday, we spoke about the list that had about 48 names on it, 6 of them being names of groups. So groups that we are not unaware of, the Boko Harams, the ISWAP, and all of that. So if really and truly somebody is sponsoring those groups, first and foremost, let's start from the point of the groups, then by all means, go after them and cut them off at the head. And then for the individuals, we should also see that there is, blatant, outright prosecution of these people, because the goal for any administration should be the utmost protection of the lives and property of its citizens. So, the Senate President stating that this is the reason why, that it is because elections are coming, that is why there's insecurity, and stating that the insecurity is being sponsored by people. If really and truly is an informed statement, then they should have acted on it. I definitely agree with the caller who said that, because So what if it's being sponsored by people? Let's work with that assumption. What then happens to the people who are being maimed, killed, kidnapped on a daily basis? Do they just wait till after the elections? That's the question we need to ask the Senate President. Perhaps he will have an answer for us. But let's go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Auntie Somi, this is Chukunoso.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Calling you from APDC Estates currently. Just like others have said, and which is the fact, you understand, these people are not doing enough. The truth is the truth, and you cannot take away the truth from reality. Because whether they said, my dad will always tell me that the worst form of lie you can never lie to yourself, that you can never say, is lying to yourself. You understand? With what the Senate President was saying, he's just making mockery of Nigerians. You get? He's just making mockery. Even the list, I can bet you, and I can put money. I will put money now, like bet Nigeria now. If they say I should put money, I'll put money that those names that are there are not real people. They are not real names. We are just joking around. I can put money. I'm just telling you now. I can put my money on it and tell you that let them go and point. Those names now, those names that are sponsoring those things. I saw the name. I just saw the names and I just laughed. I said, forget. You understand? They are just joking around with us. You understand? And I don't blame them, Sha. Now we vote them. No matter how, now we vote them. Whether we like it or not, now we vote them. And what we see, we collect. And it's just me pleading to the youth of today. It's just that, you understand, these people are just making mockery of us.
All right.
Just go and get your PVC. You understand? Whether your vote will count or will not count, let's just forget those things. Just go and collect your PVC.
All right.
That's just it.
Thank you.
Simple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Neme says on the ADC convention, it's a no-brainer that the people that suspended Atiku will be dismissed from the party during the convention while reversing the suspension order. But the question demanding answers is, where will Atiku go to rest after 2027 general elections, since Iran has made UAE and other Gulf countries unattractive for the leisure seekers? Finally, an allusion by the Senate President with respect to insecurity during the election period is simply addressing toddlers metaphorically and not adults. You should go and tell that to the Marines. All right. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
My name is Uncle Emeka. I'm calling from Kudia.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, we are talking of collecting of our voters card, right? Yes. But my question is that we forget to address the person we ought to have addressed. And what is that thing we ought to have addressed? We're supposed to let INEC know that it is not only one political party that will go to election. If we collect PVC voters card, which party are we going to vote? Everybody votes APC. The answer to that is no. Any democracy without opposition is nonsense, absolute nonsense, arrant nonsense. So we're supposed to address the issue of ridiculing and crippling other political parties by INEC.
Okay.
INEC now and judiciary and the APC, they merge together and become APC. You understand me? So now, are we all going to vote APC? The answer to that is no. And
all right.
I cannot vote APC. The government in power now to come back with this kind of terrible thing. No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We need to go on a break. We'll be back.
You not ready to win? Make you enjoy your...
This is Nigeria Info.